welcome to Performacast Season 2, Episode 1, and our brand new first guest, Marika Pedersen, is on today's show, and I can't wait to hear more about her. But before we get started, just please subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow my Insta. There's going to be down the line some giveaways, some amazing new we're going to have lots of new guests, and it's going to be really fun, and it's going to be getting you the most cutting edge in health and longevity that we right over here. So I want to welcome Marika Pedersen. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. What a great intro to try to live up to there.
Thank you. So I'm going to read you Marika's bio quickly. She's very, very accomplished and really amazing what she does. Follow on Instagram, and so should you. She's been a fitness specialist for 40 years and a personal trainer for over 28 years. She proudly represents the 60-plus age-defying generation of fit women and men who want to move well. Marika has 4 grandkids, 2 dogs, and she's 65 and walks the talk. In addition to personal training, Marika is certified as STOT Pilates, man and injury specialist populations, and she teaches adaptive and inclusive seated fitness classes as well as weekly life classes at a fitness club, and includes barbell classes, muscle classes, and core. Okay, most recently, she's a new certified barefoot movement coach, and I'm wearing my barefoot shoes right now. And she's a very engaging Instagram. As I said, almost 200,000 followers, and you can check her out at Marikatrainer. Yours is better than mine. I need to get yours. You can follow home workouts, strength training, core balance, and foot strengthening posts. And she gives posts daily workouts and giveaways. And she was a regular fitness special guest on Go to Grandma Show, hosted by Kathy Buckworth on Zoomer Radio Canada. She's taught hip-hop classes and choreographed dance shows and judged World Natural Sport Bodybuilding Championships. And other interests, which was amazing, wrote a CDN best-selling children's book and paints murals. Very, very talented. Okay, so Marika, my first question to you is, let me just 1 second. There we go. You're 65, right? And you've been in the fitness industry, teaching and training for 40 years. How do you feel about aging? And does that fitness role play a role in longevity?
Well, you're a lot younger than me, but I think you'll agree that we know that fitness does play a huge role. Yeah, I'm 65. I don't, I feel actually stronger today than I felt in my 20s. So there's that. I don't feel whatever 65 is supposed to feel like. I think our society is really needs to get caught up in how aging really is today, and I think I want to be that role model. I want to, like I say, walk my talk. But absolutely, fitness has played, not only because I've taught for 40 years and I've personal trained for 28, but I know how great I feel. I know how much stronger I feel. And the research also points to how great a role fitness does play. And it doesn't have to be, a huge commitment, but any commitment towards moving better is going to, absolutely help us live longer.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, when in my 20s, I felt like an old man. I thought, is this how you're supposed to live? Like bad back pain, shoulder pains, not moving nicely. And I started specifically on the stability board. Like I'm 44 now. I know I'm a bit, I've got a bit to go to reach your age, but I feel like how a 20-year-old should feel like now, with lots of energy, zero pain, and it's crucial how you actually, take care of and invest in your health.
Yep. I mean, it's strength, it's mobility work, it's endurance work. These are all key to longevity. And I think in our 20s, we just think we're going to live forever. And we have probably some bad habits. and especially we hang around with different peer groups that, just live large, and that's fine. At that age, you can take a little bit of abuse. But, I hope everybody realizes that, we want to live fully and we want to move well throughout the years. And, the sooner we start thinking and looking into different ways to live longer and fuller and better, the better. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. People, unfortunately, make really bad choices when they're young and they keep it up, as they go. So my next question, your Instagram's very creative, right? And that's all part of a training. Do you think that creativity is a puzzle, is a piece of the puzzle for longevity?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I think the creativity is also that brain body connection. So the more we can attach mind muscle, research has shown that there's that particular exercise where we have to think about it, or we switch it up, or we add variety, or we're shocked, or we're surprised. All of these things lead to a more efficient and effective exercise. So when you think about it, if we're always doing the same old, absolutely. In the beginning, especially for beginners, any exercise is going to be well worth it. And, I stand by that. So consistency and patience, that wins the day. But for those of us who have been doing this and gone around the block a couple of times, absolutely, the more creative, the better.
I
Right?
mean, that's, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I
Continue.
was going to say, like, all the things you do on the ball. I love stability ball training. I love new toys. I love new environments. And I think any way that we can mess ourselves up a little bit, just in very minute ways, like throwing balance challenges in there, throwing, if we're starting to get used to a certain weight load, changing it up, doing unilateral training where we're just working right side or left side, seeing which side is a little bit weaker or dumber. These are all, great ways to, and checking out other people's Instagrams and YouTube channels. And, there's so many different ways that we can slowly introduce surprise.
Yeah, I couldn't, agree more because, like, I see a lot of people at the gym, like, when I was working at the gym, they're very disconnected. They've got their earpods, they're listening to something, they just going through the motions. It looks like they just want to get out of there. The body is so disconnected from the mind, it's scary. And unfortunately, there are a lot of injuries that take place because of it.
You're right.
So yeah, so like what's like in your opinion, what creative exercises, I mean, like what exercise is the best for like the longevity and creativity? Like any specific exercise that you have in mind?
Well, I think it depends again where you are on your journey, but in general, so let's put creativity aside, but exercises that are linked to longevity, we know that there's a cardio element, we know that there's a muscle element. Those two things where you're training your heart, you're training your muscle, and the heart is basically another muscle. We know that that is linked to longevity. So right there, we know we have to build muscle. And, that's where the creativity can come in. There's lots of different ways with which we can build our muscle. And any change is great. So, those things are all fantastic. We know that works for longevity. There's also key research. I've been looking into this, preparing that yoga, where there is that mind, that mental connection to what we're doing, that also has oh, is that me or you? Are you getting feedback?
No, I'm not getting feedback. You good?
I'm good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we know that I'm getting feedback on my side for some reason. Anyways, nothing I can see that I can change it. But as long as you don't hear me talking twice,
No, no feedback on my
you're
side.
good. Okay. Okay. So as I was saying, cardio, strength in terms of muscle linked to longevity. So is if you want to be more specific about muscles, the quad muscle in particular, leg strength. We know that femur is the longest bone in the body. So we know that there's a lot of muscle that covers that territory. And the more muscle we build in our legs, per se, that is also linked to stronger bone density. And of course, you can't divide the body parts, but we know that in general, leg strength is linked to longevity as well. So I was looking into sports. And, unfortunately, I don't think there's stability ball ping pong or stability ball tennis, but racket sports, that's crazy. The racket sports, and I love racket sports, because of that quick reaction time, is also linked to longevity. And that's where I do see stability ball, because like you say, if we throw our focus off, if we're just mindlessly little, mice on a treadmill, we're not going to get the full benefits of, that link to what we're doing. So, it all makes a difference.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you have to, like with what I do specifically, it helps improve that reaction time just a little bit. And I know, I mean, like you've got so many creative workouts, and some you use the stability ball, but there's so many you just confuse like the muscles, which is great because you're using every single part of the environment to do your workouts with. And it's really amazing to see that you come up with this creativity, because I think, both mind and body are very much linked together and very much have a big role to play in longevity, specifically with balance, because balance is key. Gravity is always trying to, push us down. And, if you can stay balanced and strong, and upright, that's helps us
Yeah.
prevent falling.
And
It's
let's look even deeper. So, sorry, yeah, let's look even
yeah,
deeper.
deeper.
When you think about, balance, and let's go within. You think about lymph nodes. You think about energy that the body produces. It's all on a cellular level. And lymph nodes just from bouncing on the ball or a trampoline or bouncing on the spot. Yeah, exactly what you're doing. I mean, that is nourishing lymph nodes. That is, that's energizing the mitochondria, and all of these little things, they all make a huge difference, not just to the creativity factor and how we feel about an exercise, but also just it's our longevity clock. So anything we can do to really wake up our system is going to benefit us in the long run.
But yeah, but, I mean, definitely, and I agree. And another point to what you said, like a lot of your exercise, like our type of training, adds a lot of dopamine hits, because once especially for anxious people, like they're looking for the next dopamine, and a lot of it's unhealthy, like habits, with whether it's social media, whether it's worse, drugs or alcohol. They're always constantly looking for that short-term boost dopamine. And I notice with these balanced, like creative type workouts, it's like a leveling up. So as you it's challenge, and as you master it, you get a shot of dopamine in a healthy way, and it keeps you focused, and you can stay away from those bad habits.
Yeah, that's so true. And I mean, that's the thing. People tend to just look for that energy in all the wrong places, and it's an easier fix. And even don't get me started on our healthcare system. I'm in Canada, so it's different everywhere. But honestly, you can't get what we're talking about in a pill. You just can't. You have to get out there. You have to find good resources. You have to become, just have to be motivated in terms of what we really want, and recognize that the body is, first of all, very malleable, very, it's a gift, first of all, and what we do with it over the years really does play a huge role. So, yeah, I think everybody just has to take that first step, and I know it can be overwhelming. I don't know how many of your viewers are long-term workout, lovers, or brand new to training, but you just have to take that first step.
Definitely. And I think you got to, instead of putting part of it, you got to make it an integrated part of your life. Like whatever you're doing, people, you can't out train bad sitting or bad eating behaviors, which is my next question. But you got to integrate it within your life, like, for example, I'm sitting a lot in the day, but I'm moving because I'm on the ball. So that's just an example, as you said, energizing lymph nodes, all of that sort of stuff. In addition to fitness, what else can help us live longer? I mean, I know what you're going to say, but let's hear from you.
Well, I mean, there's so many different things that can help us live longer, but obviously what we eat, what we put into our body. Did you know I was going to go there?
And your
What we put
nutrition
into
is
our
right
body.
there. That's so
Yeah.
important.
And we can't escape that, especially as we get older. Our hormones will change, yada, yada. I'm sad that a lot of women in particular, when they hit menopause, they start thinking, oh, it's all downhill and now my hormones are against me and this is what I'm left with. That is not, that is so last decade thought. And we have control. We can proactively turn the clock back. And it's really about ingesting whole foods, try to get organic when you can, but hey, that's expensive, so at least stay away from processed and ultra processed foods, with chemicals that we know aren't good for us. I don't even want to put them on my lawn, let alone eat them. Drinking lots of water, that is huge, especially for those of us who do work out, but for everybody, water is, we're made up mostly of water. I also stay away from alcohol. I don't know about you, Yoshi, but 2 years ago, I've never really.
I've
Do you
never been
drink?
drunk in my life.
You've never had one?
I've tasted alcohol, but I've never been drunk in my life. I don't touch alcohol.
Okay. So yeah, I knew I loved you for multiple reasons. That's one of them. Honestly, if people knew exactly how bad it was, I mean, I think society has somehow, drinking has become so much a part of the social scene that it's really a shame, because it's a carcinogenic. It's the number one carcinogenic at that. We're finally getting information that we should have had years ago, but it's a toxin. It's a poison. So yeah, I mean, I used to just do it very peripherally, to make other people feel better. Oh yeah, okay, fine, I'll have a drink. But 2 years ago, I said, no, I'm not doing this for me. So I just stopped that, and I think that we're now entering a different sort of generation where more people will recognize, especially with all the additives and the environmental factors. It really is a change that is significant, in terms of longevity, anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory. So that's kind of key with longevity, is keeping your inflammation levels in check. Resveratrol, they say, is linked to longevity, but we always used to say, oh, well, resveratrol is in wine, so we can have wine. But no, the wine, basically discredits all of the benefits of that resveratrol. So it's better, if you're going to do it as a supplement. Like, I'm not a dietitian, so I don't want to get into, what everyone else should do, but I do recommend. What I did was I saw a dietitian or a nutritionalist. That they're great holistic nutritionalists. They can do a blood panel work. Like, if you want to dive deep, those are things that you can specifically do how to benefit where you're at. But on a general food guide basis, and I mean, I do love my cookies, even though sugar is bad. I do have some vices, but like I say, I try to eat better. I try to eat more healthfully. Blueberries are linked to longevity. Spirulina is something that I take every day, which actually is a better protein than chicken. And so if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, spirulina is a great choice. It's an algae. You got to go for organic. But again, some people, there are, contras. If you have kidney stones, for example, you got to kind of be aware of what you're eating too. So these are very general, but the choices are out there. And
nutrition is plays a huge. What you put in your body plays huge terms for longevity and fitness. I'm known from experience where I used to drink Coca-Cola and eat rubbish. I always used to get sick for like 2 weeks every winter, and then I slowly stopped, I cut out all the chemicals of processed sugar. And it took over 10 years. And like when I do get sick, it's, sickness, by the way, is part of health. It's a feature having a fever, not a bug. And I've noticed, but I can recover so much better. I'm not even sick for maybe one day, not even. And it's very light. It's not this violent where I can't move. Maybe a couple of hours I'm in bed and then I'm okay. And that's very much played for nutrition as well as it gives you a lot more energy. So for your training, and like if you are training, it just keeps that consistency and the motivation kind of going from my experience. And what I tell my clients and people is to always listen to your body. Like, is your stomach cramping? Is it having different issues, bloating, whatever the case is? There's something wrong. Don't take a pill, just because, listen to it. Listen, understand, like that's what I found very helpful with me and clients.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Bloating is a huge sign. I think people have sort of strayed, we're all at the mercy of the advertising and the big pharma companies who say, take this and it'll mask your your symptoms will go away. It doesn't mean they're going away. That means you've numbed them. You've ignored them. Our body is always trying to tell us something, just like you said. So in general, I think about vitamin C, zinc, some sort of protein. I have been introducing whey protein and collagen, just as like in smoothies, but like I say, whey is not for everyone. There are some vegan options as well. But just finding sources. We know that our muscle drives every organ in the body. So, if I can hammer one fact home, muscle is the fountain of youth. So, eating protein, it's, we need to have our protein sources. That is huge.
Yeah, I completely agree. Your muscles protect your organs, your joints. I mean, like it's so important to have muscle. I mean, it helps you to move. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to move otherwise. There are a lot of people that realize, they think of doing, maybe they're exercising and not really working out or strength training. I think strength training is way, like for me, and the research I'm sure shows that strength training is way more important than just pure cardio, like or running, whatever the case is.
Absolutely. We know that, muscle strength is so highly linked to longevity. And of course, the cardio component, I get that. But for those who are ultra marathoners, for example, there is actually a decreased, research has shown there's a decreased lifespan with trainers, with people who are training ultra marathon running in excess. So, you don't have to overdo anything, but we do know that muscle, you want to stress it a little bit. So as you train, you don't want to just get always too comfortable. You do want to reach those, those goals. And then you always want to kind of push to that next level, because the more when muscles are stressed and challenged, that's when you actually lay down bone. And we know too that you can be any age and still make bone. You can make brain cells, you can make muscle. So we used to feel that, after age 30, it's all downhill, that we just have to protect whatever muscle we have, and our bone density is, slowly deteriorating. Well, those things are true because our hormones change, and there is an aging process that we all are lucky enough to, go through. But we are proactive. We can stop that. We can actually build bone. And that was huge. That's a great bit of news that we should all be like so excited about, because it's not a downhill slope. We can build bone any age, up to any age. Brain cells, we can build brand new brain cells. And all of that is linked to muscle, because muscle drives every system. Your brain, your lungs, your digestion, not just your energy levels. So anyway, I found that
Amazing, no, amazing insights. Definitely, yeah. Like for me, with the, going to muscle again, it's important to also not to, like the body's like a guitar, if you're building just pure muscle, like bodybuilding type of thing, I'm not knocking them for people like them, but also there's a correlation between like, the age, cutting off the age limit if you're going too extreme with that as well. And puts a lot of stress on your joints from too much muscle. So that, I mean, a lot of it, they take a lot of unhealthy substances to build that muscle, which is building on a
Yeah,
wrong foundation in any case. So that
it's
whole kind of thing
counterproductive, isn't
is,
it?
yeah, it just will come crashing down. So you have to, like, for me, like what I find works for me the most, obviously, in building muscle is body weighted exercises. And I love the balance aspect with the, using the ball to just work those small and get into those deeper fibers and stabilizers not a little bit more, a lot more than what you can do just like, say, on the floor. So
Do you
it's
know there's a
amazing.
link?
Yeah, go for
I
it.
was going to mention with the ball and all of the bigger than, our range of motion is extremely important. So with those bigger ranges that you can attain when working on a stability ball, because you're using full body and full mobility, the deep squat, there is so a deep squat is when you go into a squat, but like basically butt to the floor. We try to maintain that. The closer you can get to that, so a deep squat is also called a longevity squat. So there is a major link between being able to increase the mobility, the range of motion through the hips and living longer. So that tells us, it isn't just muscle is the driver, but also working on our mobility is really important as we get older, because not only do we want to be able to move our body from point A to point B, from the ground to standing, we also want to move well, and we want to be independent, right? So, it's one thing to say, oh, these people have lived a long life, but was it a full life? Did they, you don't want to be, incapacitated. You want to be able to move well and independently. That's huge.
Quality of life is key. Like when I'm 90, whatever the case is, I want to still be playing, doing stuff active with my grandkids, doing handstands on the ball. I mean, that's like the goal I think most people have, because we only have one life really, and health is the most important asset. And without it, you can have as much money in the bank as you want. You can't enjoy it. And also
Right.
linked to depression, mental.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the feel good hormones, we talk about this endorphins all the time.
Yeah.
And it can be, like everything that we talk about, we're all about creativity and just doing things that are challenging. And like, I love that. I never want to say I'm too old to do something or try something. I love the challenge, but after 40 years, like that keeps me going too. But if you're just starting, like walking is linked to longevity. So that's a great place to begin. But it's not going to get you, walking just should sort of whet your appetite and say, okay, I feel better. I'm starting to, obviously reap the benefits of more physical activity. But from there, we have to maintain and build muscle. So it's that key to building muscle. And you can't do that without challenge.
Course, like if I say to people, if they don't have any like pieces of equipment and they don't have any, they walk, whatever the case is, and they want to do a little bit more, what can they do? Even just standing on one leg, closing their eyes, challenging themselves, building those small ankle stabilizers about, or feet, how it works, the feet, especially with barefoot or barefoot shoes. It challenges yourself. And that's what you need to keep doing, I find, to number one, build muscle, but also to stay engaged with everyday life, quality of life.
Yeah, it's really true. And I mean, we could have a whole separate, this is me lamely trying to say, hey, invite me back on. We could do a whole separate talk on feet
So maybe
because maybe we will. Yeah, I mean, I'd love that.
maybe
But
we'll do it. We'll
there's
do an Instagram live, and we can have a whole chat with that.
talk about feet again, like I am a barefoot movement coach, but it's come, hard earned because, for the longest time I wore classic athletic footwear. it's not even that I was in high heels that much, but even your brands, they, you know, there's enough room in the toe box. There's usually some sort of cushioning, some sort of rocker toe, and all of that just takes away the strength and the capability from your own feet. And the feet, of course, are the foundation to the rest of your body. So yeah, that is another one of my Bible, you know, things as a trainer is I look at the feet always. That's my starting point.
No, definitely. I train barefoot, and I notice a lot of people, especially in formal, like they have their toes like this, and there's no balance, there's no grip. It needs to be wider, and the shoe needs to be wider to be able to accommodate that. But there are a lot of narrow shoes, and it's a big problem with you know, because it's in style and advertising and fashion, but they're ruining their own strength basically and
Yeah, the
stability.
big toe is linked to the glute. I mean, you know, the strength of the big toe and the range of motion of the big toe, it directly is linked to your glute strength, your glute power, your hamstring strength, your back strength, hips. So, you know, the rest of the toes are your movers. So, and of course the heel is your brake. So we need, you know, we need that tripod. But yeah, let's say that for another talk. And
Yeah,
you
that
know, this,
sounds awesome.
of course, the better our feet, I think that is probably, although I haven't researched it, I'm sure that that is linked to longevity as well. It's got to be. But yeah, I was looking into one Harvard study that said even if you, back to working out, even if you work out for 1 hour, that translates to 2 more hours of life. So, I mean, on that, these formulas are kind of, you know, to be taken with a grain of salt. But can you imagine 1 hour of exercise gives you 2 hours of life? Like that over can be compounded. And of course, we are not a formula. We know that we feel better when we work out, and we know that, you know, obviously the benefits are, you know, endless. But I thought that was a cool study.
Yeah, I've also read quite a few studies that exercise is definitely linked to longer life, longevity for sure. Like they have to work out, definitely. And also we can do a deep dive. There's so much you can do a deep dive into, like from nutrition, from there's so much aspects from even exercise itself. Just focusing on one exercise, for example, or a focus on, you know, stability and core, whatever the case is, that's a whole nother discussion in itself.
It is. Yeah, honestly, you can break every element down. And you don't want to be so overwhelming with information that, you know, people just throw up their hands. I think your audience is all age groups. So, you know, definitely my message is that, you know, the sooner you start, the better, but that whenever you start, you know, it's never too late, and that we can always progress. We can always, you know, practice makes that progress. And, you know, we always get better. We get stronger. And a lot of it is, you know, the way we think about ourselves too. Like you were mentioning the mental aspect of it, you know, and exercise does increase endorphins, but we also have to feel that we are worth it, that we owe this to our body. And, you know, what we put in is what we get out. So it's a very proactive mentality, I think, you know.
I agree.
Um,
You can't be reactive with your health. So we're running out of time. So any I know you just mentioned a piece of advice. Anything else you want to mention?
Just if people are interested in, you know, in longevity per se, there's a great book. I think it was also on a Netflix series, The Blue Zones, by Dan Buettner, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Great resource for finding how important the social environment is too. Like we didn't really talk about that, but being isolated when you're older, just again, that's not a good thing. But Blue Zones talks all about, you know, types of locations that where people live regularly to 100 plus plus. And the other thing I was going to suggest was for more resourcing, go to your community centers, you know, access Yossi's YouTube channel, go to our Instagrams, you know, Marikatrainer and your Instagram, all of these little things, you know, there's so many proactive ways that we can get inspired and motivated to move well. That's really the message.
Love that, Marika. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on. And it was an absolute pleasure to host you. And I'm looking forward to doing some more talks and deep dives into certain topics. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.
Thanks so much. Pleasure to be here.